What I like most about this house is I live 3 miles away, so when you're not home, I will be in the pool.
Nice.
What I like most about the house, honestly, is that it's been maintained. In other words, everything here has been replaced at some point in time, with the exception of one thing, and that's the water heater. So you have a roof from 2004. So that's 11 years old. It's in good shape now. It's not leaking now. It's probably got an estimated life on it of about 9 more years before you have to start thinking about it. 20 years is about what you get on a roof in Florida.
Sure.
Sometimes you get a little more. All right, but this 20-year mark is the mark you pay attention to. So you have a long ways before you have to start thinking about that.
Okay.
Okay. Structurally, it looks pretty good. I mean, no structural cracks, no concerns. The grade is good, slopes away from the building well. Maybe a coat of paint sooner rather than later, because some of the paint's chalking at the walls. But other than that, it's about as good as you get for the buildings I see most of the time.
Very nice.
Yeah, I thought so too. Electrical equipment, Square D, good brand, 150 amp service. Your wiring coming in, it comes in underground. It's a service lateral underground. It's 2-watt aluminum, which is standard. That's what it should be, multi-strand. I used an infrared scanner, no elevated temperatures, nothing, no evidence visually of overheating previously, nothing happening. In fact, this looks pretty good. That's your main panel outside. Your inside panel is also Square D. It's a sub panel and it's on the back wall. Copper wiring, branch wiring. What I liked about that is, you know, when you install an electrical panel, most of the time you're putting all your breakers in and your wires are going, and you basically have to refer to the legend to know what the breakers are. So if you take the cover off, you still have to go back to the cover to look to the legend. The electrician on this house, he took the stripped wire insulation, and with a magic marker, he wrote on it what each service was. So even with the panel cover off, if you have someone working in there, they'll know what each circuit is.
Oh, good. Great.
That's like, nobody does that. That's like one of these rare things.
Oh, no, that's great.
And when you see the picture in your report, you'll be like, oh, now I know what he's talking about. But basically, that takes time. That's a numerous circuits that he wrote that on. The wires look good. Scan turned out well. I have no electrical issues here. I mean, not even GFIs that aren't tripping, which is so common in my business. You got GFIs based on 1993. So outside outlet is wired to the garage outlet. So if you have no power outside, check that one.
Okay.
Both bathrooms are also wired to that garage.
Okay.
So if there's no power in the master and the hall bathroom, that's where your reset is.
Okay.
Okay. Other than that information, that's all I have on the electrical. Nothing, no defects, nothing. Plumbing. Now, the plumbing in these houses, you may or may not be aware that the year plays a big part in what we look for.
Okay.
All right. So what I found here is polybutylene pipes through the interiors of distribution. I'm going to explain that to you. If you own a house in Hunters Creek, you may be aware of what they are already. Do you have them?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Polybutylene is a material that came out sometime in the 70s, and it was designed to replace copper because copper got pinholes under foundation and so on. So they came out with a pipe that was flexible and durable, and they thought it would last forever. It had some problems, and there was a lawsuit against the material in 1996. That lawsuit was won by the consumers, and a consumer recovery fund was set up from 96 all the way to 2009.
Okay.
So if you had a problem with this particular plumbing, which by the way was at the joints, the joints would fail at some instances, and homeowners would have some personal property damage at some extent.
Okay.
But if they did that, they would go through this recovery fund, and as long as there was a problem, they would have their house replaced. The pipes would be replaced. Now in 2009, that expired. So there is no longer recourse for people with this material through a recovery fund.
Okay.
So now it falls under the scope of homeowners insurance. With that being said, part of the disclosure in the homeowner insurance application is whether or not you have polybutylene in the house.
Okay.
So if you do and you're aware of it, you have to, obviously disclose it, because their policies with polybutylene are, some will charge more for it annually, some won't insure it. It really depends on the company.
Okay.
So part of the deal that we disclose with the polybutylene has to do with insurance, because you wouldn't want to not be able to get insurance as you move forward. So you want to be prepared for that.
Sure.
Second part of the equation is you as the homeowner. What does it mean for you? The pipes have been here since 1993. I honestly don't know if anything ever bad would happen to them. But because they have a history of a problem, you never know what system is going to fail and when. No way to predict it.
Yeah.
So you can be proactive about it if you want to. You can replumb the house if that's something you wanted to do. Usually that runs about $4,000, maybe $4,500 on something this size. If you wanted to just pay a little bit extra for insurance or the company you go through, you can do that. You may never have an issue. I'll give you the link in your report for the information so you can make the decision based on what your comfort level is.
Okay.
My familiarity with the plumbing, I moved here in 1996. I had it in the house that we actually bought in 1986. And I never had a problem with it until my wife decided we wanted to get a better insurance rate. As soon as we went through that process, the insurance companies recalled it was like our rate was higher. And my wife was like, why is the rate higher? She said, well, because you have these pipes.
Okay.
So just be prepared for that. That's the story on the plumbing that's here. And every house in this block probably will have this same pipe. It was built the same year. Excluding that, the plumbing is in good shape. There's really nothing major leaking or anything like that. The water pressure is good. I think your expenses, things to budget for, aside from the pipes, if that should come up in your mind, would be a water heater, because that's 22 years old.
Sure.
Other than that, I think that's what you're looking at.
Now, would the plumbing affect the pool?
Not at all.
Okay.
Pool is a separate
entity, completely.
Yeah, completely separate. Nothing to do with it. Nothing to worry about. Pool's fine. I think if anything you have to do with the pool at some point in time, because maybe the age of the pool, you might have to resurface it sooner rather than later. These pools, hard to say when.
Right.
It might be 10 more years before you have to do it. I don't know. But you can see some discoloration here and there. This has been very well maintained.
Yeah, I noticed that. That was a big selling point.
Yeah, well, it's huge. I do 2 houses a day, and I usually do that 5 days a week. I usually do 1 on Saturday. And I have to tell you, this is like in the top 5% of houses that I do as far as the way it's been maintained.
Nice.
I mean, I don't get to spend time being excited about doing the inspection report when I go home. Because usually I got 3 hours of computer time to do.
Sure.
Here, it's a lot more simpler. There's not a lot of problems. So the highlights are, the roof is 11 years old, plenty of time left on it. Electrical, great shape. Building, great shape. Plumbing, a little bit of research needed on your part to decide how you want to handle it.
Okay.
Air conditioned is the last thing. We didn't cover that. That was replaced in 2004. Had a little bit of help with that because the label was not on the unit. I couldn't tell. But the label's on this one. It looks like it's a 4-ton outside, 5-ton inside, 12 SEER, you said. And it's functioning fine. It's a Coleman. I'm not that familiar with that brand, but any system that's working is a good system. The split on it was 20 degrees. Room temperature was 80. I got 60 degrees back, and it is a heat pump. And when we ran it, heat pump, not even like, I guess 6 minutes into it, I had 100 degrees coming back out through the register.
Yes. Okay.
So, very good. So, like I said, I think it's a well-maintained house, got a lot of potential. I'll itemize the things I had issues with at the inspection, but I really don't see many major problems here.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, Renee.